No. All I'm telling you is you're looking for problems. That's why you're here.
I'm here to have conversations.
You're a wanker.
I came here from Canada just to talk to you.
You're not welcome
Just to talk to
here.
you.
Go back to Canada.
I'm not going anywhere.
Shame on you, you censorious thug.
Transgenderism seemed to come out of nowhere. I mean, there was some Hollywood movies like Mrs. Doubtfire or other shows where it was a curiosity. It was a fringe pursuit. I mean, Dustin Hoffman was in a show called Tootsie. But then suddenly, immediately, it was extremely real. And not just real, but if you dared to question it, let alone to mock it, you were canceled more harshly than anything else. I remember there was a time on social media, on Twitter in particular, if you were to misgender someone or dead name them, and these were invented concepts. Misgendering is if you actually describe someone by their biological sex. That's called misgendering them. And if you dead name them, that is, call them by the name their mama gave them when they were born, that would be cause to be suspended from social media. It's not against the law, but it was enforced with a legal zeal I've never seen before. And suddenly transgenderism was everywhere in the popular culture, in Hollywood and movies and TV shows. But then more virulently than anywhere else, it was in the schools. And why is that? They have Storybook Hour, Transgender Drag Queen Storybook Hour, but not for, let's say, seniors in a senior's home who might like the company and to be read to, but always focusing on children. Not just teenage children, but children even of tender years. Things that short decades ago you would have been arrested for doing as something lascivious or obscene, but now you would be arrested for trying to stop it. You might recall a few months ago in Calgary when a Christian pastor interrupted a drag queen story hour for children at a library. It was he who was arrested, not the transgender advocates who beat him up. Here's a clip of that. Pastor Reimer, by the way, Rebel News and the Democracy Fund crowdfunded his legal defense. Take a look.
I'm not. I'm voice memo. Okay, we don't have our cameras up.
We are now calling the police. Stop. We have the police coming, so it is your choice to leave or deal with the police.
Very abusive in there.
We are going to...
For love is love.
Hey,
love is like very hateful, very abusive.
They were not charged for roughing him up. He was charged. Well, where did this all come from, and how did it take schools by storm and women's sports by storm? And how could people stand by? How could women, moms and dads, abide men competing against their girls on any team, let alone teams of physical contact like rugby, on swimming when these biological males would actually change in the same change room as the girls? How could people have permitted it? Where was that mama bear instinct? Suddenly it has taken over. But it took a while, but the reaction, the response, the rebuttal to that finally got its shoes laced up. And one of the people who I think is responsible for normalizing critiques of transgenderism, for patiently explaining it, sometimes to his own peril, well, he's our friend Billboard Chris, otherwise known as Chris Elston, who has been leading a campaign not just on the streets, but also in very high offices, meeting with the most influential and powerful people in politics and other community leadership. Chris joins us now via Skype. Great to see you again, and congratulations on your successes.
Thank you so much, Ezra. I was just looking through the year, reviewing everything that happened. And it's pretty phenomenal when you look at it. It's phenomenal when you look at the past 4 years, but this was a really good year. We're making a lot of progress really all across the globe in terms of creating awareness, but we're finally getting some of these legal, political, and policy measures implemented, and the lawsuits have also started to fly. So that's encouraging.
Well, it's so interesting because I would say you started your project of simply standing on the street. You got your nickname Billboard Chris because you wear a sandwich board with a very simple message, nothing complicated, no jargon, phrases like No one's born in the wrong body. A conversation starter, and you would stand literally in the street and talk to anyone at a great length. Let me just show a little bit of a montage of you on the street talking to people and, frankly, occasionally being assaulted for engaging in conversation. Here, take a look.
Trans kids matter! Trans kids matter! Trans kids matter! Trans kids matter!
Okay, I wasn't a jerk.
Puberty blockers. I started when I was 12, and I was on testosterone from 14 to 17, and I got top surgery at 17. Totally messed my life up. So I just want to say you're doing a good thing. I can't believe people disagree with you on this. As a former child transitioner, I'm just appalled that people have anything to question you about. So I salute you.
I'm so sorry you had to go through all that. I'm glad you are through it now. Thank you so much for speaking up. That's extremely valuable because a lot of people are afraid to.
Celebrate going through. I mean, having mastectomy is a hideous thing for the body to go through. Excuse me, are you a doctor? I'm a doctor.
There we go.
I'm a doctor.
Oh, what kind of doctor are you?
I'm a doctor of social policy.
Of social policy?
Yes, which includes
so
health
pretend
policy.
Doctor. Okay.
Which includes health policy. Do you know what that is?
You go tell me.
Okay, my wife is trans. You are not a doctor, and you have no right to have an opinion about this.
Oh, okay.
No right to have an opinion. Well, what kind of world is that? No opinion allowed. Wow.
How about that?
No opinion.
So, fake doctor says I'm not allowed to have an opinion about children losing their body parts. What do you think of that?
No opinion. Oh my God. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Chris in the beginning. What about being able to agree to disagree?
Yes.
Not everyone is going to have the same opinion. I mean, obviously, you'd hope people would have some rationale.
But you see, she wouldn't even stay to talk.
Hello, how are you? She doesn't like me because she has purple hair.
Do you think now's the time?
Yeah.
Why? When we're having a rally about male violence, why would it be the time to be transphobic?
So it's always a good time to have conversations. I didn't even know this rally was going on. I just came here.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I'm from Canada. I've been here for 1 or 2 days.
But do you want to go? Since it's about women today and women's violence?
Yeah, well, women are being affected by this whole trans cult the most, so I think it's a great time to talk about it.
Yeah, we actually would feel a lot safer.
Well, you're free to carry on then, aren't you?
So are you, babe? Yay!
I'm staying right here. You want to have a conversation?
Where?
Your argument. Every time you turn that camera, you're making an example of nothing. These women came here for a reason.
Literally.
And you see what you do? You do something completely stupid. And you got this wanker standing next to you.
I'm sitting here having conversations. What's the problem?
No,
You're not having conversations.
Well, you don't think I'm allowed to have conversations here? Why not?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. But you know that conversation is a moot point.
What's this got to do with that?
Today.
What's this got to do with that?
No. All I'm telling you is you're looking for problems. That's why you're here.
I'm here to have conversations.
You're a wanker.
I came here from Canada just to talk to you.
You're not welcome
Just to talk to you.
Go back to Canada.
I'm not going anywhere.
Well, first of all, I would imagine that having thousands and thousands of conversations, you get pretty good at answering sort of the 10 most frequent questions or challenges. You must be sort of a professional debater on this stuff by now. I bet there's nothing you haven't heard.
Yes, and in truth, there's not really much need for debate on this issue because there really aren't any valid objections. People sometimes ask me, what's the most intelligent argument you've ever heard in favor of trying to change the sex of children? And of course, there aren't any. But the two main objections you always hear are that children are going to commit suicide if we don't transition them. This is a vile, manipulative tactic used to coerce parents to go along with this. And interestingly enough, in the Supreme Court earlier this month, the ACLU's attorney, Chase Strangio, who is herself a woman identifying as a man, she admitted to a judge on the Supreme Court that, in fact, it's all been a lie this entire time, that completed suicides were her exact words. Completed suicides are very rare, and that really it's suicidality that they're talking about. Well, hold on a minute. for years, all we've heard every single time this conversation comes up is that kids will die if we don't transition them. And that's the only way they've been able to justify what I call child abuse. I don't know what other word you can use for this, but that's the number one argument. It's totally false. We have other data that supports the falsity of that. And the second argument they use is that puberty blockers are reversible. Yet behind the scenes, in the WPATH files, which were leaked earlier this year, written by fabulous Canadian Mia Hughes, these doctors themselves admit that, of course, puberty blockers aren't reversible. So those are really the only two arguments that they have, and it's all finally coming to a crashing halt. This is being stopped all over the world now in various jurisdictions. We're making progress even in Canada, and I'm confident that within a few years' time, this will be something for the history books.
Now, you're correct when you say those are the top two arguments, or at least I take you at that you would know because you've had so many of these conversations. But I would respond by saying much of the conversation about transgenderism does not involve arguments, doesn't involve an attempt to persuade through reason. On-the-ground reporting, independent news shows, and special content you won't find anywhere else. It's all designed to give you trustworthy information and alternative viewpoints so you can decide for yourself. We don't get government money, and we are not owned by some big global conglomerate. We're funded by people just like you, so please support independent journalism and help us continue our work by subscribing and becoming a Rebel News Plus member today, right here on the page. Go to rebelnewsplus.com. Members get instant access to all of our shows, invitations to exclusive events, and access to our premium content like live event footage and documentaries you won't see anywhere else. Only Rebel News Plus members can join the conversation by participating in the comments section of our new website. That way you can have your say too. More than anything, though, you'll be able to take pride in supporting real, honest journalism, and you'll help our talented team continue to do the work to push back on the establishment. We really can use your help. We need it, in fact. So thank you, and enjoy Rebel News Plus.